Hello and welcome back to my channel, Thrifty Day. My name is Leah. I'm the creator behind Thrifty Day. Today's episode is going to be a collab with your creative studio. So we will do a quick unboxing where I show you the beautiful supplies that your creative studio sent for me to show you. And then we will make a really fun, junky, and super easy tag flip using mostly supplies from this particular box. There's something so exciting about getting new journal supplies. Look at this washi tape. How beautiful is that? I cannot wait for the fall. This is kind of giving me fall vibes, even though there's nothing very specifically fall. I guess just the floral prints. It kind of reminds me of Edith Holden, which I'm very excited because in the coming months, I have an Edith Holden themed month coming up on Patreon. It's also going to tie into gratitude. So all of these supplies are going to complement that very well. We actually just finished a guided journaling month on Patreon, and I made a tag a day, which is what inspired this YouTube. Instead of using a traditional journal, every day for my journal prompt, I wrote something on a tag. And some of them were very traditional tags, and some were very non-traditional, like a postcard, a playing card, something I kept from my day, like a paper coaster, or if I received ephemera from one of my children, that was my tag for the day. So that is the inspiration for this junky tag flip we'll be making today. And it will also serve as a nice base for October when we do guided journaling again over on Patreon. It will be gratitude themed. And this way I'll have a nice tag base to pull from. Here is a look at all of those beautiful Your Creative Studio supplies. This is going to be such a fun and super easy, totally no-sew tag flip. So here is an example of my tag flips that I've made in the past. I made this Halloween one last year. It was when I was part of Kia Creates journal prompt Halloween. I don't even remember what it was called, but I did a tag every day and it was Halloween themed and I had so much fun. And so as you can see, there's lots of different textures, lots of junky fun elements, and I love this. It just hangs in my studio. It makes me so happy, and I'm so excited Halloween is almost back. This was my tag flip I just finished for the month of July over on Patreon with our guided journaling. And as you can see, they're just very junky, lots of fabric. There is one of those journal prompt cards. And I was really happy with how this came out. It was very organic and it just was lovely. So let's pull some scraps. This is also a great scrap busting YouTube or tutorial. I have lots of these long strips. If you are a journal maker or somebody who creates a lot, you have a lot of these long strips from cutting pages for journals. So what I'm going to do is get some traditional tags from my stash, and I'm going to use them as templates. So I just grabbed a few. I'm also going to use my crocodile that never works right, but I keep it and use it anyway. I'm also going to pick some of the beautiful products out of the Your Creative Studio box. They are going to be the true shining stars of this very simple tutorial, and they're going to make it easy to make a very cohesive, junky, beautiful, vintage style tag flip. So as I mentioned before, this is a very simple, completely no-sew tutorial. You also are going to need a binder clip, by the way. I forgot to mention that. I'm using this, I believe it's a 2-inch gold binder clip. You can use silver. You can use any color you want, actually. You could probably even just tie it together with a pretty ribbon, honestly. But a ring makes it a lot easier, I find, because I am journaling once a day and then sticking the tag on. It's just a lot easier if it's a metal ring or a plastic ring. So now I'm just going to trace tags, and I'm going to begin cutting scraps. And then once I have enough like sort of tag bases created, then I'm going to go through and embellish and decorate a little bit more. So I'm going to pick some of these scrap pieces that are printed only on one side. That way I could use the Your Creative Studio products to decorate or cover the other side. If you know me, you know I don't like a lot of white space in any of my paper crafting or journaling. I just find it very uninspiring, even for a tag flip that I want to write on. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and cover the backs. To me, I just love prints, even if they're not super cohesive. I love a very funky vintage style. I guess I'm like the Punky Brewster of junk journals. Oh, I would wear that label proudly, honestly. So as you can see, I have two tags that are printed on one side and white on the other, and I am just going to cover it with this beautiful Your Creative Studio paper. And look, some of these are like giant stickers. I'm telling you, they're doing all the work for me. This is really a great way if you want to have a nice cohesive tag flip. If you just want to order one of these subscription boxes and create a tag flip, you can actually create several tag flips out of the supplies that you get out of this box. I think if I had to, I could probably make 3 to 4 of these tag flips just using my scraps and the supplies from this box. So, but yeah, I love it. These larger pieces are so beautiful to put on these tags. And they're actually textured too. I'm not sure if that picks up on the camera. I doubt it does. But they have a really lovely texture. They're not just flat paper. So that's going to make your tag flip very interesting too. And you all obviously don't need to use a Your Creative Studio box. That's just what I happen to have on hand since they generously sent me one. You can just use your scraps. You can go pick a paper pad from the store. This would be great to use those smaller paper pads that all of us don't know what to do with, like the 6x6s. This would be really helpful and a great way to use up those smaller paper pads too. I loved these tags. I don't know if you could see, but they actually say something about the Beatles on them. Now that I'm doing the voiceover, I can't see it really well, but I remember being really excited when I opened them because I'm a huge Beatles fan. If you follow me on Instagram, you know all I use is like Beatles songs. I love the Beatles. My mom loved the Beatles. That's probably why I do. I grew up on the Beatles. But yeah, that was really interesting to me that tag said something. See, I think I show you there something about the Beatles. So now, once I've trimmed the back of that paper, I am just going to, once again, trim it down a little bit more. So as you can see, I'm just creating lots of different bases. I know right now you're thinking, well, you know, these are just a bunch of pieces of paper. Yes, they are, but I promise you they're going to come to life very soon. So if you have come this far and you are enjoying this content, would you be so kind as to hit that like button? That would mean so much to me. I love this YouTube channel. I started it years ago thinking that it would just be a fun place to show some tutorials, and it's really grown into a community that I embrace and that I truly feel like embraces me back. So feel free to subscribe if you're enjoying the content, leave a comment if you're new so we can connect, and I just want to say thank you. I have to say that this project was so much fun. This is probably one of the busiest couple of weeks coming up. I feel like I say that all the time. Okay, so my summer's just been really busy. But aside from I just shipped about 400 packages for Patreon and Etsy. My oldest daughter just got a brand new job, her first job after graduating from college with her master's and her credentials. She's going to be a first-year special education teacher. So we're starting to get her classroom in order because she starts school in a couple of weeks. My youngest daughter is going away for her first year of college. She will be living on the beaches of California, in the dorms, living her best life. She's super excited, but that's another huge life-changing moment. So making this tag flip has been just a wonderful way to sort of decompress from a lot of the things that are happening in my life. They're good things, but it's still very overwhelming. Good things can still be overwhelming too. It's been sort of nice to just sit and cut and paste and create. And even watching it back is making me really happy. So I don't intend on using this tag flip until October when I do that guided journaling over on Patreon. And I can't help but think like how different my life will look in October. I guess we'll see. When I make a YouTube in October, I'll give you an update. Anyway, as you can see, I even use the packaging. I pull out some of that pretty packaging from the Your Creative Studio box, and you know, it's a tag. Easy. I don't even need to do anything. Beautiful flowers, looks vintage, totally works for me. It's a really nice paperweight. So we're just going to pull out all that packaging and I'm going to call those tags. I'm not even really going to do anything to them right now. And that one looks like it even has a built-in pocket. So I grabbed my stapler and I just added a couple staples. And now look, I have a tag with a pocket. I'm telling you guys, anything can be a tag. When I did my recent tag flip, my daily journaling, I used everything. There were so many different things. There's kind of a lot more personal journaling on there, so I can't give like a real proper tag flip, but you would be surprised at the things I used for tags. Much of it was from pen pal mail that had been sent to me. before the month began, I gathered it all up and I made like a little section in my ephemera box so that every day I could just grab something, and all of it was meaningful. Even if it didn't match or wasn't cohesive, it was something that was thoughtfully sent to me by a friend or someone in my community. And so now it's on my tag flip forever, and that just truly makes me happy. When I opened the box, I was really drawn to these beautiful stickers. They're washi stickers, but they almost look like bookmarks. They're long and skinny. So I grabbed a few of my favorites, and I'm just going to cut them out. I backed them onto some cardstock, and I'm going to create tags out of a couple of them, and some of them I actually will just tuck into pockets or staple on the sides of tags. So the beginning of this tutorial is pretty much cutting, gluing, cutting, gluing. Oh, but look at how pretty they look. They all have that pretty back. So very simple. I told you this was going to be super, super simple. But once we have everything sort of created, we get to move on to embellishing, which is what I'm starting to do now. That acetate came off the back of those washi stickers, and so I just staple it onto that packaging to create a clear pocket. I just use staples. Like I said, this tutorial is completely no sew, and now I have a really cute pocket. I could put my journaling in, I can put embellishments in, I could put notes in, I could put the journal prompt in, and I think that's a wonderful way to also reuse something that might otherwise be trash. I don't know what this packaging came out of, but I saved it because it was like a corrugated piece of cardboard, but it just was, oh my gosh, only junk journals were under, junk journalers, I can't even speak. Only junk journalers will understand. I really liked that piece of trash, so I had to save it. It looked like a nice piece, and sure enough, I was right. I cover the front and the back with some of those, I guess they would be journaling papers from the Your Creative Studio box, and I trim it, and it made a beautiful sort of ridged, lovely weight tag that I end up putting on the tag flip. It actually ends up being one of my favorite. So you'll find when you mix textures and paper weights and paper types and embellishing and fabric, and you bring in staples and metal and charms, that's what's going to bring your tag flip to life. The one thing I try to avoid when I am making a tag flip is only making it paper. Make it as many different things as you can. Even if you think they don't go together, you can always take it away at the end. So really just strive to add different shapes, different weights, different textures. That's what's going to make your tag flip really pop. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and grab some of those smaller bits of ephemera that were in the Your Creative Studio box, and I'm just going to staple them to the side of larger pieces of paper. And since I can't cut a straight line to save my life, I actually have to bring out my paper cutter. You guys, it's actually getting worse. I'm telling you, I cannot cut a straight line. So I have to use my paper cutter for everything. So there's lots of little pieces that come in this subscription box, which made making tags very, very easy. And so I just start stapling them to the sides. That way I have things poking out of the sides, the tops, the bottoms, and it's all very pretty. And by the way, you can totally sew these. I bet that would be beautiful. Sewing is just generally something I try to avoid. I do have a sewing machine. I do sew. It's just generally something I try to avoid because I don't have the space. And quite honestly, I'm kind of set in my ways. I really love using adhesive and glue and staples and things like that. I'm sort of visually drawn to that. But if you are someone who is visually drawn to sewing, I bet you this would look spectacular with sewn tags. Another thing I find myself doing more and more is breaking out my Tim Holtz Distress ink. I feel like the seasons are changing and it's time to bring in that distress ink. I don't ever use it in the summer, and now I feel like it's coming back more and more into my process, and it makes me so excited. So now I'm adding some fabric embellishments. This is just some really pretty lace. I'm going to trim off that like edging, and I'm just going to staple it right to the side. This is actually the business card from the Your Creative Studio box, but I thought it would make a beautiful tag, and I'm probably actually just going to put it right on the front, mainly because it's the perfect little size, and it's a nice little weight, and it's beautiful, and so I think I'm just going to put it right on the top. So I'm just stapling that ruffle right to the side. And then I just grabbed some little embellishments from my little vintage jewelry box here in my studio, and I'm going to use a bulb pin, and I'm going to add a charm. I feel like the more little junky things you add to this tag flip, the more vintage and sort of fun it looks. I can't even think of the right word. I guess junky. Junky's the word. Junky's the name of the game for this tag flip. So I loved the way that Distress ink looked on this front tag that I'm going to use. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit, but I ended up going through and just adding a little bit of Distress ink to every tag that or I use that word loosely, by the way, tag, but every tag that I made. And I think it adds a nice little vintage look. I think I'm using Vintage Photo for my Tim Holtz Distress ink. I can't be totally sure. I feel like I haven't used it in so long, but I believe that's what I'm using. So once I get these all distressed, the next thing I need to do is punch holes in all of them. My large crocodile that I would be able to go through a ton of these very easily totally broke. Like one of the screws came out, so I'm using the smaller one that doesn't work as well, and I feel like I have to literally go one by one. So that's a bummer. Am I the only one that has crocodile issues? Like I feel like these crocodiles should be made a little bit better or something. I don't know, because I don't even use mine very often. So I guess that's what I'm confused about. I don't use my crocodile very often, and there's always a problem. So I mean, I guess raise your hand if you are more often than not angry at your crocodile. Let me know. Now, before I go and punch the holes, I'm going to add some lace and fabric embellishments, and I'm going to do this in a real junky, haphazard way. I'm just going to staple things all over on both sides. I want to make sure things are poking out in both directions. I'm also maybe going to make a quick pocket, and you can use any fabric that you have laying around. I have a whole bin that is like a mini bin of like scrap bins, and a lot of it is like vintage fabric or from doilies or just little pieces that I don't think I'll be able to use in like a real meaningful way. Save them and use them to make these tag flips, because I find that those special little pieces are what really brings a tag flip to life. So many of these little odds and ends are vintage fabric, which makes it even a little bit more special. But I find it very difficult to get rid of any amount of vintage fabric, even if it's the tiniest of scrap. In my brain, I'm like, oh my gosh, I could use that somewhere. So I do have a bin, and I just toss it all in there, and it's sort of like a little treasure chest of, scrappy fabric odds and ends. So it's really fun for a project like this just to sort of pull it all out, see what fits, staple it or sew it wherever you want. And I actually am creating a little pocket here. You'll see, very simple. I'm going to staple some to the side, and then what's left over I actually make a little pocket out of. So that tiny little bit of lace actually served for 2 tags, and it was just a scrap, and now it's going to be used in a very meaningful way, because this is going to be my gratitude journal prompt tag flip. And so I'm very excited about this. Let me know if you enjoy guided journaling, or if that's something that you've done recently or in the past. Usually I just do very organic journaling. I journal as I feel led, but doing guided journaling this past month has really shown me how beneficial it can be for my mental health, or just for my self-esteem even. I also know that there's a lot of like junk journal challenges that have been happening. I was recently part of one that was like base pages. You can find them all over YouTube, and they're a lot of fun and a really great way to sort of jumpstart your creativity if you're feeling like you don't have a lot of things to journal about. I know life changes suddenly, so sometimes you can feel like you have so many things happening at once, and then your life will change and you'll feel like, oh my gosh, like I don't have anything to journal about. So really look into those challenges too, because they could be really fun. And you can even share your work here on YouTube and find a really nice community that will support you and cheer for you and be excited about it. And since I had those basic tags sitting around, I thought, well, I might as well add those to the tag flip. So I just grabbed that beautiful washi tape that I'm so in love with. Like, I want to buy more of it. And I just make a stripe down the side, and then I use some of those smaller embellishments, and I just stick them on there. So since I had already pulled them out, I thought, why not? Let's, throw them on the tag. Oh, if you are still with me, bless you. I feel like this video has been a little bit long, but I have to say I've just been having the best time, like arts and crafts. I mean, look at my desk. Ooh, I usually don't work in such a mess, but this this has been a journey and so much fun. And I have to say there was a part like in the middle where I thought, "Oh gosh, I hope this tag flip comes to life," because I feel like I'm just making a chaotic mess, but it does, spoiler alert, it totally comes together and I love it. I'm also using these stickers from the Your Creative Studio box. They're like wildflowers and they're sort of clear and frosty, and they're really pretty. And as an added plus, they are very easy to get off of the back of the sticker paper, which is yet another thing I struggle with. So here we go. Now we need to punch holes in every one of the tags we make. I'm going to put it on fast forward so you don't need to watch the painful process of me doing all of this. It took much longer than this, obviously, but thank goodness for technology. I'm just going to do it all in a matter of seconds. So this truly is the fun part. I sort of separate my larger tags into smaller. I put them in all of the various sizes, and I'm going to start stringing them onto that ring, and we're going to watch this tag flip come to life. So I start with this business card one. That was kind of my favorite that I stapled the lace on. That's going to be the very first tag, and I put that little long skinny butterfly just over it too. And yeah, so I just start adding different sizes, different textures, some that might be a little bit wider. This one is interesting because it's kind of a different color. It's a smaller one. You can really add these in any way you want. I just try to make sure that it's all sort of varied. I don't want all of the small ones in the front and all of the big ones in the back. I really want it to be a nice mixture of everything. I really want a very eclectic, junky, vintagey look. And by the way, I totally didn't count. I have no idea how many tags I made. So I probably will need more once the journal prompt month begins, but that's okay because once I get Happy Mail or other journal supplies or other, things I see sort of speak to me, I can just punch a hole and add them. So this is what we have so far, but you know me, I have to add a few more bits and bobs. So I am going to get yet another bulb pen, and I'm going to add a couple more little keys right onto the front. I just think it looks really sweet and gives it a little more of a vintage look. And then I also have this very vintage, I guess it's like a hat pin, or maybe, I don't know what it is, but it has an owl on it. I got it years ago at an estate sale with my husband. And so I just stick that stick pin right through some of the fabric. And again, it just adds a little bit more of a meaningful touch. I can remember when I found some of these very vintage items, and it's just nice to have them sort of be honored and displayed now. And last but not least, I do want to add a little lace bow at the top of that ring. Now, I only had this very bright white lace, so I'm going to use my Distress ink and applicator, and I'm just going to run it over the top so that that white lace is now much more vintage looking. I just didn't want a real bright lace on there. So I made it look a little bit more vintagey, and I'm just going to tie it right to the top, and my tag flip is done. I'm in love. I'm so excited. So if you were interested in joining my Patreon, right now many of the tiers are sold out, but the community tier is always available. By joining that tier, you do have access to our lives that we have 3 times a week, my Facebook community that has a pen pal exchange program, my exclusive content. I also do monthly digitals. You also are the first to know when my drops are. You get exclusive shopping hours and times. And it's just a really fun community to be a part of, honestly. And there's also a free tier. So if you wanted to join the free tier just to sort of get your feet wet and see what it's all about, feel free to join the free tier. We'd love to have you there. I have linked all of my Patreon information down below, so you can find that there. And now we're just going to do a flip through so you can see, look at how cute that little tuck is. So you can see the tags that I created. Very simple. This is a very simple, totally no-sew tutorial, and I think you get a really fun end result. And I also think what's wonderful about this tag flip is that it's very purposeful and very usable. So let me know if you found this type of tutorial useful. Let me know if you enjoy your Creative Studio boxes or other subscription boxes. I would love to hear more about other different subscription boxes that might be floating around out there. But I am going to be checking out now. I hang all of my tag flips up in my studio so that I can always see them. They don't just get tucked in a drawer. I love looking at them. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you were inspired, and I hope to see you again. So I will see you in the next video. Talk to you later. Bye.